This video guide and procedure outline calibrates the RSP1B SDR with SDR Console, the SDR C2 RSS interface program, and Radio Sky Spectrograph software. The RSP1B numerical menu settings suggested in this video apply only to SDR Console and SDR C2 RSS. The actual calibrated settings apply to this one specific RSP1B SDR. Your RSP1B may require slightly different settings to be classified as calibrated. This video aims to provide a general outline of the calibration procedure. This guide describes how to use the Radio JOVE Do-It-Yourself calibrator. Calibration menu settings involve adjustments to 3 SDR console menus: RF gain, IF gain, and visual gain, 2 SDR C2 RSS controls, gain and dB threshold, and 2 RSS settings, color gain and color offset. It is suggested that you first download and install the latest RSS version. It is assumed you have built and calibrated the Radio JOVE Do-It-Yourself calibrator and connected it to your computer. Verify that your RSP1B receiver is connected and working on SDR Console software. If you do a calibration without knowing how the settings affect the dynamic range plot, you can spend many hours and days without achieving optimum calibration. Click on the COM port menu in the Radio Sky Spectrograph Calibrate menu. The COM port your Radio JOVE calibrator is connected to will appear in the pop-up window. For example, it is shown as Arduino Uno COM3. Yours will indicate the Arduino you are using. Highlight it and click OK. If nothing appears in the window, ensure your calibrator is turned on and connected to your computer. If it is, check your computer device manager for COM ports. Open the Options menu. Enter the total losses to your antenna. This is mainly the dB losses in the coax cable. You can determine this by looking up the loss per foot on the internet for the coax cable type you're using and then measuring its length. Add any other loss in the coax line. Calculate the total dB loss and enter the dB value. Set the step duration to 5 seconds. Do not try to go below 3 seconds or the plot may not appear. Set the calibration point to 100 million Kelvin. Set the calibrator minimum calibration level that you found during the calibration of your calibrator. This one is set to 0 because additional fixed attenuation was added to the calibrator output to match the required calculated minimum attenuation. That's all you need to do in the Options menu. The first step in the calibration process is adjusting for a proper dynamic range using the built-in RSS calibration plot graph. The goal is to get a plot line from the RSS calibration plot's bottom left corner to the top right corner. The dynamic range adjustments set the weakest and strongest signals to their proper dB settings for viewing in Radio Sky Spectrograph. This provides precise scientific citizen science level calibrated settings to compare Radio JOVE station spectrographs with other observers. Your resulting RSP1B dynamic range plot may not be perfect, but try to get the ends as close as possible to the corners. This video describes calibrating your RSP1B receiver connected to the SDR Console, SDR C2 RSS, and RSS software. Please verify that the Radio JOVE Do-It-Yourself hardware calibrator and your RSP1B SDR are powered on and their USB cables are connected to your computer. Make sure the SDR Console data repeater is running. Ignore the Radio Sky Spectrograph window while adjusting the calibration dynamic range plot graph. Make sure the SDR C2 RSS FFT window is set to none. Some FFT filters slightly affect calibration. The RSS calibration program plot helps to set the SDR console menus and SDRC2 controls for the best dynamic range possible. Depending on your SDR receiver, specific local anomalies and many other factors may not be able to be set perfectly, but you can adjust it as closely as possible. Initially, adjust the SDR console menu RF gain to 9 max. Next, adjust the IF gain to -40 dB. Set the AGC to off and the visual gain to -40 dB. First, only concentrate on the bottom left corner. Adjust the two settings, SDR console RF gain and IF gain, to move the bottom left of the plot line into the bottom left corner as close as possible. In RSS, again, click the Calibrate menu, then run Cal. You may need to run the Calibrate menu plot several times to get it as close as possible. While setting the dynamic range plot, ignore the RSS spectrograph. These settings affect your saved .sps calibrated files, so do not change them once an excellent dynamic range plot is obtained. If you need to change them, rerun the entire calibration procedure. There is some interaction between adjustments. Next, set the plotline top end to the top right corner by only adjusting the SDRC2 RSS gain number. A higher number moves the plotline higher. A lower number lowers the plotline's top right end. Settings interact slightly, so multiple calibration plot runs are required. At least 3 or 4 iterations are necessary to get the plot to the far corners of the plot area. Eventually, you must call it good enough and be happy with the results. This completes the dynamic range calibration, the most essential part of the calibration process for obtaining a calibrated spectrograph. You should check the Radio Sky Spectrograph Calibrate menu box to run 10 minutes after every start. Next, a brief general outline of the adjustment controls and their effects is provided as a reference. Congratulations! You now have a calibrated Radio JOVE observatory. Now, you can understand why you cannot use canned settings from a neighbor or anyone else other than for uncalibrated work. Due to the many factors, the station operator must perform an actual calibration with the special Radio JOVE, Do-It-Yourself Radio JOVE hardware calibrator. After running the described calibration process, a spectrograph can be designated calibrated to meet or exceed citizen science requirements. Thank you for completing the calibration process for your Radio JOVE Astronomy Observatory. The SDR Console RF and IF gain controls set the dynamic range plot bottom left end to the lowest left corner of the plot. The SDR Console visual gain is usually left in its lowest negative position. Raising it to a higher positive setting raises both ends and the entire plot upward. Use this setting with caution and minimally as possible. The SDRC2 RSS gain setting is used to set the upper right end of the dynamic range plot into the upper right corner. The SDRC2 RSS dB threshold is used to slightly adjust the position of the linear portion of the dynamic range plot, along with the SDR Console visual gain setting. Use this setting minimally as possible. The RSS color offset control is used to set the first calibration bar to black. The RSS color gain is used to set the last calibration color bar to white. This YouTube video provides instructions on using your RSP1B SDR with Radio Sky Spectrograph.